Remember when one ABC sitcom made a working-class family the loudest voice on television? Roseanne Barr, John Goodman, Laurie Metcalf, Sarah Gilbert, The Granny Square Afghan, Firings, Scissors, and the strangest finale ever aired. Today we're counting down 20 weird facts you never knew about Roseanne. Number 20. Think about what makes Roseanne Connor so specific. The way she delivers a one-liner around the kitchen table lands with the precision of something practiced, not improvised. That is because it was. Roseanne Barr had been honing that exact character for nearly a decade in clubs before Carsey Werner ever picked up the phone. Barr developed the domestic goddess persona in Denver area clubs in the early 1980s, won the 1983 Denver Laugh-Off, and broke nationally with her August 23, 1985 Tonight Show set. She then anchored the 1987 HBO on-location special, The Roseanne Barr Show, building the character piece by piece across thousands of performances. Barr told Entertainment Weekly in 2008, "We built the show around my actual life and my kids. The domestic goddess, the whole thing." What that means in practice is that every sarcastic snap at the kitchen table is a polished stand-up bit, and the rhythm feels different from other ABC sitcoms because it literally is. That difference is why the show worked so immediately. Marcy Carsey and Tom Werner recognized something they had not heard on network television before. A working-class mother who did not apologize for existing. The character was not written in a room. She was built on a stage. That August 1985 Carson set was also the exact reason Tom Werner ever heard her name, and his reaction to it changed what he thought television was missing. Number 19. Every episode of Roseanne opens with a single punchy word over the kitchen table. That title is so inseparable from the show, it is hard to imagine it being called anything else. For months, though, it almost was. The project spent its early development under the working title Life and Stuff, a generic phrase that told audiences nothing about who the show was actually for. Per the Television Academy Foundation interview with Marcy Carsey and Tom Werner from March 10, 2003, Werner spotted Barr on The Tonight Show and decided she was the working mother voice they had been looking for. Carsey's development pitch came down to a single question: what's not on television and what ought to be? Anything about a working mother. The title fight came later. Vanity Fair's Lynn Hirschberg confirmed in December 1990 that creator Matt Williams pushed to keep Life and Stuff, while Barr pushed to retitle the series after herself. Barr won. Branding the show under her own name was a declaration that she, not Williams, was the franchise. The early episodes still carry a trace of the Life and Stuff era. They play a little more like a conventional family sitcom pitch. The voice sharpens once the title fight was settled, and everyone understood who was in charge. That title fight was only the opening round of a much larger battle over who controlled what the audience saw each week. Number 18. The ease between Roseanne and Dan Connor is so total that watching their early scenes together feels like eavesdropping on an actual couple. They bicker. They laugh. They actually seem to like each other. That quality is so rare on a multi-camera sitcom that you might assume it was manufactured over seasons of rehearsal. It was not. It was there from the first screen test. Tom Werner has said in multiple interviews that Goodman was never in serious competition with anyone for the role. ABC was so committed to him that the network forfeited a more desirable time slot to wait out a prior scheduling conflict Goodman had, according to Entertainment Weekly's 2008 oral history. He was coming off a Drama Desk-nominated run in Broadway's Big River in 1985, and the Coen brothers' Raising Arizona in 1987. Barr confirmed the chemistry in ABC's 2018 reboot. EPK, we kind of bonded over making each other laugh, and he has a working-class background too, so I knew he was the guy. Chemistry with Goodman was the thing the producers refused to gamble on, and it became the show's emotional anchor across 9 seasons. The warmth those two found together on a first read is what every later storyline was built around. It is the reason the show could go anywhere and still feel safe. Not every casting choice in that pilot survived long enough to reach episode 2, though. Number 17. Michael Fishman is DJ. Connor. For 9 seasons, he was the youngest Connor, the goofy one, the kid whose presence quietly anchored the family lineup. The audience watched him grow up on that set. Here is the thing. The DJ who shot the original pilot was a completely different child, and almost no one remembers it. The October 18th, 1988 pilot featured 7-year-old Sal Barone as DJ. The 1988 Writers Guild strike created an unusually long gap between the pilot and episode 2. And during that stretch, Barone reportedly hit a growth spurt that made him look noticeably older than Sarah Gilbert, who played his older sister Darlene. Gilbert also told Entertainment Weekly that she and Barone had clashed on set. The combination was enough. The producers went looking for someone new. 6-year-old Michael Fishman had no acting experience. Roseanne Barr personally championed him after he answered her audition request for a joke with, "Why did the turtle cross the road?" It was the chicken's day off. That was enough for her. He stepped into the role for We're in the Money and never left. The recasting locked in the sibling chemistry that drove a decade of storylines. Compare the pilot to episode 2, and the physical difference is visible. Different haircut, different build, different kid entirely. Another future star also passed through the Connor orbit across 11 episodes and then quietly disappeared before his actual career began. Number 16. During the first few seasons of Roseanne, there is a recurring character at Wellman Plastics, a foreman named Booker Brooks, who orbits Jackie's romantic life and shows up with enough magnetism to feel like a major player. Watch those episodes now and you will realize very quickly that Booker is George Clooney 3 years before ER made him a household name. Clooney played the role across 11 episodes between 1988 and 1991, returning for a season 4 Halloween appearance in Trick Me Up, Trick Me Down. Carsey Werner already knew him from his recurring role as a handyman on The Facts of Life in 1985. He was a known quantity in the production office, a reliable performer who was still waiting for something to break through. Roseanne Barr told Howard Stern in 2018 that the writers' room eventually decided Booker lacked star power and wrote him out. She also noted that Clooney was a relentless prankster on set. The season 1 finale, Let's Call It Quits, ended his arc and redirected Roseanne and Jackie's working life away from the Wellman floor entirely. The writers who cut Booker loose could not have known what was coming. Every scene Clooney has in this show is pre-fame character work performed on a #1 sitcom while nobody in that room fully understood what they were looking at. Not every cast member arrived from Hollywood. One of the show's most essential performers came straight from a Chicago stage. Number 15. Jackie Harris is one of the most physically committed comic performances in the history of the American sitcom. The panic spirals, the nervous laugh, the full-body crises that arrive without warning. All of it comes from an actress who was a founding member of Steppenwolf Theater Company in Chicago and had almost no Los Angeles resume when she walked in for her audition. Laurie Metcalf co-founded Steppenwolf in 1976 alongside John Malkovich, Joan Allen, Jeff Perry, and Glenée Headley. She had a 1984 Obie Award for Lanford Wilson's Balm in Gilead. According to a TV Insider career profile, she landed the role of Jackie within her first week on the West Coast. There was no long process, no callback stretching across months. She walked in, and that was that. Stage technique brought something different to a multi-camera set. Every Jackie panic spiral is staged Steppenwolf style, full body, no half measures. Built for a live theater audience, it reads as naturalistic on camera precisely because it is overdone enough to fill a room. The results were recognized. Metcalf won 3 consecutive Outstanding Supporting Actress Emmys in 1992, 1993, and 1994. She told Variety in 2016 that when she won her first in 1992, Roseanne herself was the presenter, and she halfway didn't believe her name was on the card. While the cast clicked immediately, the writer's room was already on fire before the first season finished. Number 14. Every episode of Roseanne carries a Created by Matt Williams card. It is there on the screen for the run of the entire series, 9 seasons, including every episode Williams never worked on. This is one of the stranger footnotes in American sitcom history, and it says a great deal about how quickly the show became something its official creator no longer controlled. Williams was a former Cosby Show writer-producer and co-creator of A Different World. He wrote the pilot teleplay, which under WGA rules locked in his sole created by credit before a single dispute could change it. Barr's New York Magazine essay, And I Should Know, from May 15, 2011, described seeing his credit at the premiere party and walking out in tears, writing that she considered the credit a theft of her own stories. After a season of escalating clashes, she demanded Williams be removed. Vanity Fair reported in December 1990 that he left with a financial settlement. He later co-created Home Improvement. Tom Werner told Entertainment Weekly in 2008, I don't think Roseanne to this day understands that this is something legislated by the Writers Guild. They're the final arbiters. The first 13 episodes carry a trace of Williams's more conventional sitcom structure. The voice sharpens into something more specific once he is gone. Every showrunner who followed understood the job came with a kill switch. His successor communicated his feelings about that experience in the trade press. Number 13. Jeff Harris took over from Matt Williams as executive producer and lasted through season 1. When he left, he chose a memorable way to announce his departure to the entertainment industry. He placed a farewell ad in the trade papers declaring that he was opting for the relative peace and quiet of Beirut. Beirut was at the time an active war zone. The joke was not subtle. Variety's Brian Lowry would later describe what followed as near-annual exec producer turnover. In a December 12, 1993 piece, Jay Daniel was brought in January 1990 specifically to smooth tensions. He was followed by Bob Meyer, then Bruce Helford working alongside Bruce Rasmussen in Season 5, then Rob Ulin, then Eric Gilliland. Helford, when he eventually left, summarized the pattern clearly. "My agent and lawyer both said that everybody got fired." The practical consequence of this turnover is that each season is essentially a different show run by a different team. The tonal shifts across the run, the way the series takes larger risks in some years and retreats in others, the fluctuating topical boldness, all of it is the fingerprint of an entirely new senior staff starting from scratch every season or two. The consistency the audience saw on screen was despite the room, not because of it. And Barr's most surreal management approach made that situation even stranger. Number 12. The scripts that Roseanne Connor delivered week after week were snappy, fast, and frequently rewritten before they made it to camera. What the audience saw was polished. What happened to produce it was considerably rougher. Trade press reporting from 1993, restated in The Hollywood Reporter's 2018 cast roundtable by journalist Lacey Rose, recounts that Barr referred to her then 19 writers by number rather than name and reportedly had them wear shirts printed with their assigned numbers. Barr also kept a list on her dressing room door of writers she planned to fire once the show reached number 1. When it did, she made good on it. Staff writer Stan Zimmerman, who would later co-write the show's most debated episode, recalled in an Eric Gillen tribute published in Deadline in September 2024 that after one particularly brutal day in the room, the writers smashed food onto a framed photo of Barr in their office. The numbered shirt story shaped the entertainment industry's image of Barr as a showrunner and directly informed Tom Arnold's later spin-off, The Jackie Thomas Show, from 1992, which was a thinly veiled satire of the Roseanne writers' room. The show survived a writer's room churn that would have collapsed most series. The consistency on screen existed in spite of the room, not because of it. And one of those numbered writers was an unknown 25-year-old whose name no one in television recognized yet. Number 11. Darlene's poetry meltdown in Brain Dead Poets Society, which aired November 28, 1989, is one of the most remembered early Roseanne episodes. Sarah Gilbert's performance turns a single school assignment into a window into an entire character's interior life. The script that made that possible came from someone nobody in Hollywood had heard of yet, a 25-year-old story editor named Joss Whedon. Whedon was hired off a spec script by executive producer Jeff Harris and joined Season 2 as a story editor. He wrote The Little Sister, which aired September 19, 1989, and then Brain Dead Poets Society. He described the writer's room as total chaos in Amy Pascal's biography, Joss Whedon: The Biography, published by Chicago Review Press in 2014. His most repeated story from that period, when Barr read his first unwritten script, she asked, "How can you write a middle-aged woman this well?" He replied, "If you met my mom, you wouldn't ask." Barr publicly took credit for launching several careers in her 2011 New York Magazine essay. The list of writers who got their start in that room is remarkable. Whedon, Amy Sherman Palladino, Chuck Lorre, and Norm Macdonald, who served as a Season 5 staff writer. Darlene's snarky teenage voice in Season 2 is essentially a Whedon dialect prototype. The same rhythm would show up, evolved, in everything he made afterward. The room kept producing future creators, and one of them survived months of waiting before she was allowed on set at all. All right, we're at the halfway mark, and things are about to get even wilder. Before we hit the top 10, I want to hear from you. What's your favorite Roseanne moment? Drop it in the comments. And if you're enjoying this, smash that like button and subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. Number 10. At a certain point in Season 6, Becky Connor comes home from Minneapolis. She is wearing a different face. Casual viewers who watched week to week might have assumed it was the same actress in different lighting. It is not. The switch is the result of one of the more unusual holding arrangements in American network television. Per Sarah Cawkey's own February 2026 interview on Jesse Tyler Ferguson's Dinners on Me podcast, reported by People and Yahoo Entertainment, Chalk was 16, Canadian, and the only finalist who was neither 21 nor Los Angeles-based. Barr asked her age twice during the audition. Tom Arnold called her at home to ask if she planned to leave for college, and she said no. Knowing the question could sink her chances, producers cast her, then reportedly paid her roughly $10,000 to remain on hold for approximately 4 months, before officially bringing her in for Homecoming in Season 6 in 1993. Chalk has said she sat through her actual audition on the actual Connor couch, with the actual Afghan. The arrangement kept Becky alive as a character without original actress Leslie Goranson on set. allowing the show to maintain its 8 p.m. anchor position for 3 more seasons. Chalk's first Becky scenes are the work of an actress who had been cast and benched for months, not a fresh hire walking onto a set. The original Becky left for a reason that had nothing to do with the show. Number 9. Becky Connor's exit from the show arrives as a dramatic story beat. She elopes with Mark Healy and rides off on a motorcycle. The actual reason she left is considerably more straightforward. Leslie Goranson had a college acceptance letter, and she chose to use it. Goranson was cast as Becky at 14, only on her second ever audition. When she left in 1992, she enrolled at Vassar College as an English and poetry student. Her contract preserved her right to return, and she exercised it during season 8, alternating episodes with Sarah Kalki. The show addressed the swap with recurring fourth-wall jokes, including the famous line, "Aren't you glad you're here this week?" She returned permanently for the 2018 revival in The Connors. Producer Jay Daniel told the Los Angeles Times when she left, "Our hope is that even though she is away, she'll still be a very important presence in the show." What resulted was the rare phenomenon of 2 actresses openly sharing one recurring role on a top 10 network sitcom, with no attempt to pretend otherwise. Any Goranson and Kalk alternation in season 8 is Goranson's class schedule made visible on screen. It is the only time in network sitcom history that a college transcript directly shaped a character's availability. A different scheduling conflict around the same period put Roseanne Barr directly against ABC's content gatekeepers, and she won. Number 8. Roseanne's annual Halloween episodes became the show's most anticipated tradition. Dan as Frankenstein, Roseanne in full witch makeup, the Connor family transforming their house into something spectacular on a network sitcom budget. Viewers planned their October schedules around these episodes every single year. The network originally refused to produce even one of them. Barr told Yahoo TV in 2014 that ABC argued the Bible Belt considered Halloween satanic, and the network didn't want it on ABC. She pushed back hard enough that BOO aired October 31st, 1989. At the top of season 2. The audience responded immediately, and the annual tradition held. 8 Halloween episodes followed over the course of the run. Halloween 4 earned a 1993 Emmy nomination for lighting direction. Skeletons in the Closet earned a 1995 nod for hairstyling. Barr put her position plainly. "That was the first dragon we slayed on the Roseanne show. My birthday is right after Halloween, on November 3rd. Chuck Lorre, who would later create The Big Bang Theory and 2.5 Men, wrote season 3's Halloween episode Trick or Treat. The elaborate costumes, the practical effects, the creative ambition behind every one of those episodes was paid for with a network fight the audience never saw. Barr did not only negotiate creative control with memos, she sometimes brought something considerably more direct into a producer's office. Number 7. Watch any scene where Roseanne Connor verbally dismantles someone standing in her way. The specificity of the dialogue, the way it lands with the precision of something personal, often reflects a real dispute being settled on camera. The connection between Barr's off-screen fights and what ended up on screen was, by her own account, direct. In her 2011 New York Magazine essay, "And I Should Know," quoted in Slate and the Chronicle of Higher Education, Barr describes walking into a female producer's office during a script and costume fight, raising a pair of scissors, and saying what she had come to say. She also wrote that she rarely went into the writer's room because as soon as she entered, one of the writers would make a comment calculated to provoke her. On Jay Leno's Tonight Show late in the run, Barr defended her methods. "I think what they're really mad about is that I'm a woman calling the shots, and that I was a waitress, and that I was a maid, and I never went past the 9th grade. And I still do a better show than any of them." John Lahr's New Yorker profile, Dealing with Roseanne, published July 17, 1995, became the canonical account of creative control conflict. In sitcom history, moments where Roseanne Connor verbally flattens an opponent on screen often reflect a real fight settled on camera. Her loudest offset moment happened not in a writer's room but on a baseball field at her own producer's stadium. Number 6. On July 25th, 1990, Roseanne Barr performed the national anthem at Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego during Working Women's Night. She delivered it in an exaggerated screech, then grabbed her crotch and spat at the end, mimicking the behavior she had observed in players on the field. The backlash was immediate, national, and extended all the way to the White House. President George H.W. Bush, asked about the performance aboard Air Force One on July 27th, called it disgraceful, per the UPI archive. Robert Merrill compared it to flag burning. Johnny Carson said on July 26 that Francis Scott Key must be spinning like a lathe. The San Diego Padres were owned by Tom Werner, Roseanne's own executive producer. Werner had led the 15 investor group that purchased the team for $75 million and served as the team's chairman. The performance happened at her producer's stadium during an event her producer had organized. Barr addressed the situation at a Beverly Hilton press conference on July 27th. "I'm sorry I didn't sing so good, but I'd like to hear him Bish sing it. From now on, I'm going to concentrate on the show." The show's 1990 to 1991 season still finished number 3 in Nielsen with an 18.3 household rating. The audience stayed. Another off-screen relationship was about to move inside the writer's room and inside her marriage simultaneously. Number 5. During the Roseanne years, an entire producing layer of the show was, functionally, Roseanne Barr's marriage. Tom Arnold was hired in 1988 as a staff writer after Barr saw him opening for her in Minneapolis. He played recurring character Arnie Thomas from 1989 to 1994. He served as co-executive producer and writing supervisor from 1990 to 1994. He and Barr married January 20th, 1990, and divorced April 18th, 1994. In his own March 27, 2018 Hollywood Reporter piece, Arnold wrote, "By the time Roseanne fired me in 1994, destroying the trophy case in my office, canceling my credit cards and promising I'd never work in show business again, I'd been exec producer." Daily Variety and The Hollywood Reporter both reported a shouting match on the set the Friday before the divorce filing, with a security guard posted outside Arnold's office. Arnold's ABC spin-off The Jackie Thomas Show, which ran from 1992 to 1993, was greenlit on Roseanne's ratings clout, used a hot switch lead-in from Roseanne with no commercial break, and was widely understood as a satire of the Roseanne writers' room. When ABC did not renew it, Barr publicly threatened to move Roseanne to another network. Every episode featuring Arnie on screen is part of a producing arrangement that ended in the entertainment trade papers. The most photographed object on the show survived all of it and was physically secured against theft. Number 4. The multicolored granny square afghan on the back of the Connor couch never moves. It never slips, never shifts, never falls off no matter how many cast members pile onto that plaid sofa at once. There is a practical reason for that. Production designer Garvin Eddy had it physically stitched to the couch because it had become too valuable to leave loose. Eddy told Slate's Laura Bradley in 2015 that the afghan came from a Los Angeles woman who sold handmade pieces to antique stores. He chose granny squares because his wife crocheted them and because his Indiana memories matched creator Matt Williams' vision for the Connor home. "We eventually had to actually stitch it to the sofa," Eddy explained. "As it became so iconic, it would certainly have been stolen." He called it the Paragon of Americana. The Sears-purchased sofa itself, bought in North Hollywood in 1988, had to be structurally re-legged after season 1 to support the full cast's weight. Sarah Gilbert insisted the original afghan return for the 2018 revival. The production used a replica. The originals were in collector James Comisar's archive, later auctioned at Julian's channel surfing sale on May 7, 2025. Season 3's episode The Courtship of Eddie, Dan's father, which aired January 8, 1991, contains a piece of dialogue in which Dan credits the kitchen design to some guy named Garvin Eddy. That couch hosted a scene that almost cost ABC $1 million in advertising revenue. Number 3. Nancy Bartlett shows up at the Lunchbox Diner. Leon Karp runs the business. They are recurring characters who feel after a few episodes like furniture. Comfortable, familiar, always around. What those two characters represent in the history of American broadcast television is considerably more significant than their easy presence on screen suggests. Sandra Bernhard joined as Nancy in Season 4 in 1991, came out on screen in Lady's Choice on November 10, 1992, and recurred for 33 episodes through 1997. Martin Mull's Leon was introduced in Season 3 in 1991, recurred for 46 episodes, and married Fred Willard's character Scott in December Bride in Season 8, Episode 11, in 1995. That episode is widely cited as the first same-sex wedding of a recurring character on a U.S. broadcast sitcom. Morgan Fairchild played Nancy's girlfriend Marla in Season 5. Roseanne won GLAAD Outstanding Comedy Series in 1992, 1993, and 1995. Barr publicly cited her gay brother and gay sister as the personal motivation. "My show seeks to portray various slices of real life, and homosexuals are a reality." The recurring representation predated and outpaced every peer sitcom in the same Nielsen tier. Every Nancy and Leon scene that now reads as unremarkable was unprecedented for network television in 1992. One of those storylines escalated into the loudest single fight the show ever had with ABC. over a moment that lasted 4 seconds. Number 2. Don't Ask, Don't Tell aired March 1st, 1994, as Season 6, Episode 18. The Mariel Hemingway gay bar kiss at the center of the episode is a quick comedic beat, practically blink and miss it in screen time. Every camera angle behind it was the result of a months-long network war that nearly prevented the episode from being made at all. Tom Arnold told Variety's Brian Lowry on February 18, 1994, that ABC executives said directly, "A woman cannot kiss a woman. It is bad for the kids to see," and that the network feared losing up to $1 million in ad revenue. Co-writer Stan Zimmerman told the Los Angeles Blade on January 8, 2020, that ABC flat out said, "We're not going to let you film it," and that Roseanne and Arnold discussed buying the episode back for HBO. ABC moved the episode from 8 p.m. to 9:30 p.m., added a parental discretion advised warning, and several affiliates dropped it. Kraft Foods reportedly pulled its ads. The episode drew an estimated 20 to 30 million viewers. Mariel Hemingway told The Hollywood Reporter in 2018, "Roseanne was extremely powerful in the television world. She got to do what she wanted. I am sure they took notice." Writers James Berg and Stan Zimmerman received a WGA nomination. Barr saved her largest creative gamble for the last 15 minutes of the entire series. Number 1. The final episode of Roseanne is Into That Good Night, Part 2. It aired May 20th, 1997. For most of its runtime, it plays as a conventional series finale. Then Roseanne begins speaking directly to the audience, alone on the original couch, and the series detonates itself. The voiceover, written by Roseanne Barr and Alan Steffen and directed by Gary Halvorson, reveals that the Connors never won the lottery. Dan Connor died of his season 8 heart attack. Barr had switched the couples in the novel she had been writing to cope with that grief. Becky was actually with David and Darlene with Mark. Jackie, not Beverly, is the gay character. Tom Shales opened his Washington Post review on May 20th, 1997 with, "After tonight, we won't have Roseanne to kick around anymore." Time later called it off the rails loopy. The finale drew approximately 16.57 million viewers. Ratings had fallen from number 1 in the 1989 to 1990 season to number 35 by season 9. The 2018 revival explicitly retconned Dan's death. He tells Roseanne her novel would have sold like hotcakes if you hadn't killed off the most interesting character. Every season 9 lottery storyline is reframed by that monologue as Roseanne Connor's grief novel. The most controversial decision in the show's run turned out to be the one that most clearly defined who had always been the author of it. Roseanne did not survive 9 seasons because the production was smooth. It survived because Roseanne Barr, John Goodman, Laurie Metcalf, and Sarah Gilbert burned through fired creators, numbered writers, a national anthem heard round the country, and one of the most divisive finales in broadcast history. The show dethroned The Cosby Show in Season 2, won Peabody and GLAAD recognition, and launched the early careers of Joss Whedon, Chuck Lorre, and Amy Sherman Palladino. The Kitchen Table, the stitched-down Afghan, and one working-class family who refused to apologize for existing, none of it was guaranteed. If this video surprised you, drop your favorite fact in the comments. Like, subscribe, and share this with someone who loves this show as much as you do. And as always, I'm not a housewife, I'm a domestic goddess. We'll see you next time.